All right, Ryan and Jimmy from the Sheepdogs, welcome. Ah, funny time, isn't it?
It is. How's it going?
Everything's really good. Really nice to see you guys. I notice you've got your COVID beard.
Yeah, both rocking them, eh?
Yeah, I got the COVID mustache going on. Although I had it before, I've been letting it grow out. I have to keep trimming it so I don't look like I'm in a metal band.
I don't think under normal circumstances most people would notice with you guys. And that's a compliment still. So where are we both located today? Ryan, let's start with you.
I'm in Toronto.
Yep,
I'm in Coburg.
you are, eh? Now, Jimmy,
Yeah,
you're from out this way, correct? You're like born and raised in Peterborough.
yeah, just south of Peterborough, little town called Baileyborough.
Okay, that's nice. And you live in Coburg full time now too?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
good
nice.
for you.
I like it here.
Very good. And Ryan, how do you like life in the big city?
Well, I mean, you mean compared to the big city of Saskatoon?
Yeah.
Uh, no, I mean, we spend so much time here. I mean, eventually just kind of ended up here because everything we do is kind of revolves around Toronto. So no, I like it, man. There's things I miss about living in a smaller place and living in Saskatchewan for sure. But to be honest, it's just kind of a new chapter in my life, and I like it. I mean, not right now. It's not necessarily the place to be. You're not really getting much of the city right now, but it's cool.
Yeah, like I have not been into the city very much in the last year, only because we've been in lockdown half the time and we've been encouraged to stay in. But what's the vibe like from your perspective down there? Especially now that it's your second home, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the vibe is, much the same. I don't really get out much. Basically, I see it like most people through the window of my house or at the grocery store or whatever. But I think everyone's really excited for things to get somewhat back to normal as we go along here. So as summer's coming, I think people are really excited to get out, and that's my feeling at least. I'm really excited to hopefully get out and do some things soon because it's been a long winter being stuck inside.
Yeah, well, we hope there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Have both you boys had your jabs yet?
I got mine yesterday.
You did, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And how are you finding the process, Jimmy? Have you haven't had yours yet, I presume?
I haven't yet. No, I'm. I guess it's 40 and under out here, and I'm not priority, so it'll
Okay,
happen.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm in a hot zone, thankfully, so I was able to get in
Yeah.
sooner. So I'm very thankful. I mean, especially like when we're talking about us getting out and doing shows and things like that. I mean, because we travel for a living, when we can do that and going to places like Europe and America as well, I think having that is going to be a really big part of being able to continue doing what we're doing. So excited for all the guys to get it.
Yeah, and the quicker that everybody gets a vaccination into them, the quicker we can return to normal. My fear is that the normal on the other side is going to be a little bit different. And I don't know, not to be negative, because I remember when the pandemic first hit, I thought, when this is over, we're going to come out of it and the world's going to be a better place than it was. But things have gotten a little bit weird in the last year.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend yesterday about how normal it was to be at a jam-packed sweaty rock and roll show, and everyone's super close together and having a good time, and it just seems so far away from that reality right now, but I'd love to see it get back there.
And I think
Just that.
yeah, but I think maybe we'll have a greater appreciation for some of those things. I mean, I think it will probably take a while for people to feel back to normal and feel comfortable in that scenario. But I mean, I also think that maybe we've taken some of those things for granted, and now that we haven't had them, I think that when you finally do go to that first rock show, sweaty rock show, and feel comfortable, people are going to go crazy. I mean, this past weekend there was 2 test concerts in Liverpool, UK. One was like a rave style, and one was like a rock concert. And they had 4,000 plus people each show, and they did rapid testing, and people were literally like crying in the streets afterwards. Probably depends on what was consumed at those concerts, but we're crying, just like elated at the fact that they'd missed that so much. And I think in some ways that's the one thing that's really been missing in the pandemic and has made it really hard, is that lack of that shared experience and that connection. So I mean, I think that once people can kind of get back there, it's going to be, I think that some things will change, and maybe it means people use hand sanitizer more, but I also think people really miss that and as a result are going to be just even more excited to get back into that when we can have that back. Because, you know, we take for granted, especially living where we do, and whether it's in Oshawa or Toronto or Saskatoon. I mean, we take for granted that we used to be able to just like go to a place and see a concert or go see a baseball game or a basketball game or whatever it is. We take that for granted because now we haven't had a year where we've been so removed from all of that shared experience with other people.
Yeah, not only that, but it's also given a lot of people a sense for how our time here is finite and how the last year, whatever experience everybody has had, we can't get that year back again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so anyway, enough of that. Let's move on to the more positive stuff, even though I think this has been a positive conversation so far. A brand new EP called No Simple Things, 6 songs, 6 really good songs, I must say. Quality over quantity?
We're talking about, things changing very quickly with the pandemic. I mean, we were in Saskatoon for the Junos, which, most of from the band, aside from Jimmy's hometown, very excited to like show all the industry people and our musician friends a good time in Saskatoon. We're about to then go down to the States, record a record in Portland, and then go on a cross Canada tour with the Black Keys. So all those 3 things basically just disappeared. And we spent a bunch of time apart, unable to do it. I mean, it's the longest we've ever had as a band where we haven't been recording music, writing music, performing music together. So, in July of last year, we were able to get together and we were doing an event for the CBC and the Canadian government for Canada Day. And so we booked some studio time, basically with the idea that let's get in the studio and try to record some of these songs we were planning to record. So we picked sort of 6 songs that we felt worked well together and that were a good sampling of rockers and more vibey tracks and things like that. And rather than doing things in a quarantine sense, like a lot of people have done, like piecing out different things, we just got all in the same room and we played looking at each other. And it was so exciting to be back playing music. I think a lot of that stuff really came through on those tracks in the sense that we were so excited to be back. And, me and Jimmy are looking at each other. He's playing guitar, I'm playing bass, and we're feeding off each other and everyone else in the room. And so to us, it was really important to do it in that way and not do it in a sort of broken up, Jim's in Coburg, I'm in Toronto, Sam's in Saskatoon, and sending tracks back and forth. That's fun for, trying and writing things. But in this case, we really wanted to do that. And also get something out as soon as we could, so that people could, appreciate it. Because it's great that we can be writing and recording it, but we want, the world to experience that as well.
And you guys recorded this at Mixart in Montreal?
Mm-hmm.
That has a really interesting pedigree to it because Frank Marino built that studio back in the 70s. Is it a bit of a relic facility, or is it all spruced up for 2021?
Well, they keep it up well, but it's really a time capsule. It hasn't changed a lot inside since I think it opened in 72, and it probably looks the same. And they have a wealth of vintage gear. It's a fantastic studio. It was a cool spot to work.
Yeah, it's kind of exactly how you would imagine. If you were to picture where the Sheepdogs were recorded, it's like wood paneled walls and velvet curtains. And, we did the whole album on 2-inch tape, which was really cool too. Has a certain limitation to it as well. So, it's definitely what you could imagine. But yeah, like Jim said, it was like, it's not, very different than what you would imagine and what you might have seen in pictures. And they've done a really good job upkeeping it. I mean, Frank Marino isn't involved in the studio anymore, but Nick and Adrian, who we worked with, do a really good job of kind of like keeping it going.
Well, you need a good engineer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Tell me
what's Ewan like as a record producer?
He's great to work with, man. I mean, this is my second album with the Sheepdogs, and both times it's been fantastic. And he has great ideas, and it's fun. He's great.
I mean, he is the predominant songwriter on the song, so it's all. I mean, like you said, having a really great engineer that'll help us get the sounds that we're looking for and really get it down, and him providing sort of the direction, kind of as on our behalf sort of thing to help us push it in the right direction is a good combo. I mean, we have worked with other people before, but we've kind of found in a lot of ways the best results that we've gotten have been through just kind of doing it on our own terms and finding the right scenario to do that. So yeah, no, Ewan's great to work with on that side. I mean, we work with him on everything else. So, obviously he's writing the songs, so him being able to guide those songs to where he sort of pictured them is a good way to do things and seems to work for us.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because the album you did with Patrick Carney from the Black Keys, I mean, good record, but to me it sounded like you guys would sound if you were the Black Keys, where this new EP sounds more like the Sheepdogs, if you know what I mean.
No, for sure. I mean, I think every project's different and every scenario is sort of different. You don't want to make the same record over and over again. And, like we were sort of saying, this record became what it was due to the external circumstances, and no different with the Patrick Carney. I mean, Patrick Carney offered to make a record with us, and it was a really cool experience and really allowed us to kind of establish ourselves in a lot of different ways, kind of like being part of what was going on with rock music at that time. I mean, there was a lot of things that we brought to the table in the Pat situation that still kept it to be fairly Sheepdogs and, pushed him in some ways away from that. But at the same time, there are songs that obviously are very much in that Black Keys realm. So yeah, no, I mean, everyone's different. I mean, certain circumstances and whatever. In this case, definitely planning to go work with someone in the States and then ending up having to sort of like change that plan and do things differently, having the comfort of kind of doing it in-house in that circumstance and just go with the really live, capture the essence of playing live as much as possible was the right way to go on this one for sure.
And Jimmy's still the new guy. And Jimmy had a long career preceding joining the Sheepdogs, and still does a lot of work on his own. How did that come about? And Jimmy, if you want to pipe in here, how did you feel like coming into a new situation like this when for a couple of decades you'd been kind of an island unto yourself?
Yeah, well, I must say it felt really good, because I started in the blues world as I was quite young, around 11 years old. And, I played traditional blues for a long time, and then it progressed into more of a rock sound. And I was playing a, 70s trio rock kind of towards the end of the Jimmy Boskill band at the time. And when I got the call to play with the Sheepdogs, it was just such a natural progression, because my head was already in that world, and yeah, it felt really natural and really great.
Yeah,
And
I think we were in a position where, we were on the road and we needed him to come in basically to kind of just jump in and do a full tour with us after we put out the Future Nostalgia record, which is, I guess, 2 releases ago now. And Jimmy's an amazing guitarist, as most people probably know, either from watching us or seeing him in other places. But the big thing is that we wanted someone to come in and not just, originally it was just someone to come in and fill in and be able to pick up the songs. Jim learned our entire 90-minute plus set in a matter of basically a rehearsal and a little quick brush up, and then we went and did a full tour. So he picked up very quickly. But at the other side of that is like having someone come in of his caliber and his past. So much about what we have done is we've just kind of went out and did our thing and learned as we went along. So to have someone that could join on and just kind of add to that has been such a huge asset to us, especially in both the live performance realm as well as the recording realm. It's really us kind of trying to up our game at the same time, because Jimmy's so great, and then on top of that, having someone who's collaborative and is bringing new ideas to the table, it really breathed a lot of new life into our band at the same time.
It's funny, he learned the whole set in 90 minutes, brushed up, then went out with you guys. I'm sure there was a lot of potential to fall on your face a little bit, and maybe you might have a couple of times, and that's all a part of that great learning experience, because what you feel, people don't necessarily hear, and it builds stronger bridges between the members of the band and creates more trust and all that. Really cool. So 6 songs on the new EP. Rock and Roll, the lead off track. Just a feel good, kind of like dockside summer song. I kind of think about you guys recording once down on Stony Lake and how this might have been an influence in this song.
I mean, I think the song kind of says itself. I mean, it's just a straight ahead rock song. I think, we were kind of talking about this the other day, Ewan and I, about how there's a lot of complicated rock music out there and complicated music in general, but sometimes going with a little bit like on the nose is a good thing, and just like having good vibes and simple message, simple rock song is, sometimes what all you need too. It's like sometimes it just needs to, it's about a feeling. And I think you're right, that feeling of maybe being down the dock or driving along like a back road in your car, or just hanging in your backyard or something like that music that's a soundtrack that's not trying to be too much, but just trying to be what it needs to be.
While the EP has a lot of feel good, it has some melancholy in there as well, which isn't a negative thing.
We wanted to pick songs that kind of have a few different vibes. We didn't want to be all the same thing. So there's like a bit of a, other narratives. And I think, while there's different things, we definitely were thinking we want this record to be sort of like a coming out on the other side, looking forward, rather than sort of introspective in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, when we were recording this, we were on lockdown and couldn't even go to, a bar or a restaurant or anything. We were basically record and go to a hotel. And so everything we did while we were making is just consuming these songs. There was no distractions. And I think so much of it was like capturing these moments, but also thinking like things that will sort of seem like you're on the other side. So when it comes out, which is out now, and hopefully we're on the kind of wind down of everything that's going on, it can be kind of optimistic, even if it's a little bit not optimistic at the same time.
Yeah, but it's still a record very much of the time. A song like the third song on the EP is called Talk It Over. And it's really about finding middle ground where you can talk and find solutions to things, especially during this time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that was the one song that was written during the pandemic with the idea of a bit of a reaction to, hoping that there can be some middle ground, because it, at times has felt that lots of sides pulling in different directions. And, so that was one that actually was written kind of a week or two before we went and recorded, and we just tried it and tracked it.
Have you at all been sucked into the social media rabbit hole that many have throughout all of this?
I mean, depends. Jim?
Not really. I try to stay away from social medias. I find that it can be quite negative sometimes, especially based on the pandemic. And I try to distance myself personally,
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're definitely not shying away from what's going on in the world, and we're very much aware of what's happening. And, suck down the rabbit hole maybe is the right thing. I mean, we're not pretending things aren't happening or just ignoring them, but, trying to consume and understand what's going on without getting too mixed up in, arguing about things online.
Yeah, or just adding to the overall anxiety of the time.
Yeah.
What is it about Western prairie upbringing that has empathy with Southern rock roots?
I mean, I don't know if there's necessarily a direct correlation. I mean, aside from maybe we both have tornadoes or something like that, but I don't know. I mean, I think for us, it wasn't necessarily like a direct correlation as much as is it like, I think there's something about growing up in a place like Saskatchewan has a lot to do with you're sort of in your own little zone, and you have different escapes. And for some people, that's, movies or whatever. And for other people, that's music. And I think for whatever reason, we really latched on to that type of music when we, started consuming music and getting into it. It really spoke to us. I mean, you think about people in England really latching on to Southern, blue rhythm and blues music, which brought, Kinks and Rolling Stones and Beatles and whatnot. Or you think about someone like the Guess Who, again, like very much heavily influenced by rock music from the South and from America, and also from England, probably by proxy through their obsession with, the South. So I think that for us, it was really just something that spoke to us, and not directly kind of linked to it, but just sort of like to us, that made a lot of sense. I mean, you definitely feel, when you're down in Texas and in places like that, or you feel like you're in Saskatchewan, it's like, barns and roads that go on forever, and farms and things like that. But I don't know if there necessarily is a direct correlation. More so it's just like, to us, that's kind of what we like. I mean, Jim's involved in writing these songs too, and he grew up in, Peterborough. So, it's I don't know if it's necessarily a regional thing as much as it's like, maybe there are some connections there if you think about Guess Who in Manitoba and Winnipeg and Saskatoon and things like that. But there's plenty of other bands that sound nothing like that come from that area too.
Tell me about your upbringing at home. Was there a lot of music in the house?
Jim, you should take this one.
Yeah, I grew up with my dad's vinyl collection, and my folks were always avid concert goers. So I grew up surrounded by music, and it was really inspiring at a young age to want to pick up the guitar.
Yeah, for
And
sure. Me too. I think that my my dad was an engineer, my mom was a nurse, so they weren't like both Seamus, Ewan, and Sam. All their parents were musicians to some extent. Mine were not, but again, same sort of thing. Like early appreciated music, played music, sang. My mom would sing to me, and we'd sing together when we were kids and things like that. So maybe not like the caliber in which Ewan's dad or Sam's dad were both professional musicians, but in its own right, an appreciation for music too.
you hung out at their place more often, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, Ewan's dad is for a lot of it, what he spent doing is like classical composer, so a little bit of a different vibe for sure.
Amazing. Okay, so the plans for the next couple of months, what's on the schedule for you guys, or is a lot of it hurry up and wait?
A lot of that, we're sort of anxiously waiting to see what happens in the live space and what we might be able to do. But I think the biggest thing for us is if we can't be out playing music, we're going to keep recording it. So our plan is just keep putting things out as much as we can. Excuse me. And create music until we can get out there and play. So when we finally get out there and are able to play, we can have all new stuff, a bunch of new stuff for people to enjoy. And until everyone can be out there enjoying concerts, we can keep bringing them, the at-home version for now, and keep it coming at a quick pace.
All right, Brian and Jimmy from the Sheepdogs. Continued success. We'll see you on the road sometime, and maybe you'll be out in Oshawa sooner than later. So nice to see you guys. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.